Hello, welcome. This is Business Breakfast broadcasting live from our studios here in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. I am Frank Omalape, all right? It's Wednesday edition of Business Breakfast. And of course, we've been doing some series on some of the key economic policies of the federal government. But this week, of course, we've been talking about the excise duty or levy placed on non-alcoholic drinks as 10 naira per liter. Well, I think we need to get a better understanding now with about 1.5 million jobs representing 22.5% share representation of the entire manufacturing sector in Nigeria. The food and beverage industry is the largest industrial subsector in the country. And that's where the government is looking at the moment. Industry data shows the food and beverage subsector has generated to the coffers of government about 202 billion naira as VAT in the past 5 years and about 7.3 billion naira corporate social responsibility. Also, it has also created about 1.5 million jobs, both directly and indirectly. So that's what stakeholders are saying concerning the imposition of 10 naira as a tax on carbonated drinks. The organized labor is the one to kick first, and it's the one under the aegis of National Union of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Employees said the implementation of the newly levied could cost no less than 15,000 jobs, directly or indirectly, including casuals and contract workers. Also speaking, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and MAN said the subsector alone stand to lose about 40% of its current sales revenue, which amount to a loss of 1.9 trillion naira annually. Also, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has also lent their voice on the conversation. It says it will cause a ripple effect in the economy. Now, the policy, according to organized labor, will push carbonated drinks producers to neighboring countries, as was the case with Dunlop and Nestle. The government is estimated to generate about 81 billion naira between 2022 and 2025 from the group. That's according to the group. But according to report, this amount is not sufficient to compensate the equivalent revenue losses in other taxes from the group, as the government stands to lose 197 billion naira in VAT contraction in about 5 years. Well, of course, these are some of the issues on the table regarding government imposition of tax on non-carbonated drinks, citing different reasons why it has to be implemented. Well, we'll take a look at that in a moment. You're still watching Business Breakfast, coming to you live from our studio. Here's what's coming up in a moment. Nigerians to start paying more for beverages in 2022 as federal government announces 10 naira as tax on every liter of non-alcoholic drinks. Minister of Finance Ahmed Zainab made this known during the breakdown of the 2022 budget last week. We'll take a closer look at the implications of this policy on the sector. Also coming up, Africa's total untapped export potentials of intra-African trade is around $21.9 billion, with an estimated market of $3 trillion. This is according to 2021 UN Conference on Trade and Development report on economic development in Africa. So we take a closer look at the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement 1 year after it was launched. And these are some of the highlights on the show today. All right, let's take a break now. When we come back, the conversation starts in earnest. Please stay with us. All right, let's get started now with some of the top stories coming to you now. The federal government, through the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, has assured manufacturers of its support to enable them to get good returns on their investment. The minister will give the assurance while playing host to a delegation of Expand Global Industries Limited, pointed out that although many manufacturing companies were battling shortage of foreign exchange, the federal government was doing everything to assist them to access forex, particularly for the importation of machineries for those using local raw materials for their production. He maintained that the ministry will continue to assist manufacturers to remove any identified bottlenecks that could impede their production process, especially with respect to the ease of doing business. And our bank loans to government have risen by 22.5%, hitting 2.17 trillion as of the end of September 2021 from 1.77 trillion naira recorded in December 2020. This represents a 400 billion naira increase within the 9-month period. This was contained in the Central Bank of Nigeria report titled Deposit Money Banks Sectoral Allocation of Credit. According to the figures, bank loans to the government rose from 1.88 trillion naira as of the end of March 2021 to 2.03 trillion naira in June and 2.12 trillion in August 2021. The report further showed that the deposit money banks' total loans to the private sector stood at 22.8 trillion naira as of September 2021. And now the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO Food Price Index has revealed that world food prices fell slightly in December 2021 by 0.9%, noting that the price is still up 23.1% from December 2020. According to FAO, prices for vegetable oils and sugar fell significantly from lofty levels as vegetable oil prices index declined 3.3% in December, with weaker quotations for palm oil and sunflower oil reflecting subdued global import demand that may be linked to concerns over the impact of rising COVID-19 cases. However, the story was not the same for Nigeria as food prices continue to increase despite the nation's inflation rate falling for the 8th consecutive month in November to 15.40% from 15.99% recorded in October. FAO's senior economist Abdulriza Abbasiam stated that while normally high prices are expected to give way to increased production, the high cost of inputs, ongoing global pandemic, and ever more certain climate conditions leave little room for optimism about a return to more stable market conditions even in 2022. And finally, S&P Global Platts, an independent provider of information, benchmark prices and analytics for the energy and commodities market, has predicted that 2022 will be a very challenging year for Nigeria's oil and gas industry. In a recent report, the firm stated that the country faces a race against time to implement reforms needed to bolster exploration and check declining oil production, but said the wave of divestment from international oil companies could pose a challenge. According to S&P Platts, the long-delayed Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) may not bring the much-needed succor to the oil sector, as Nigeria is likely to contend with a gale of divestment by major oil companies. Companies, the firm said, are living in a bid to reduce operating and security challenges as well as the huge cost of battling with the pandemic. It stated that although the landmark PIA was signed into law on August 16 and was expected to turn the state oil company to a private company within 6 months in order to make it easier for the struggling company to raise funds for oil exploration and production, the impact of the bill has so far been barely felt. Well, and that's it for now with the top business stories. Coming up in a moment after this break, we continue with our conversations on the introduction of excise duty of 10 naira per litre on non-alcoholic carbonated drinks, as industry stakeholders have continued to force government tax move. Well, we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back now. Stakeholders in the Nigerian economy have faulted the federal government on the introduction of excise duty of 10 naira per litre on non-alcoholic carbonated drinks, noting that the move will lead to contraction of production output and loss of revenue, ultimately loss of jobs, according to them. Last week, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, during the public presentation and breakdown of 2022 budget, announced the introduction of excise duty of 10 naira per litre on all non-alcoholic carbonated and sweetened beverages in the country. So let's make sense of these and what this means for the economy. Mr. Akinfatuke is a chartered accountant. He joins me via the telephone now. Thank you for finding out time to join us here today.
Thank you very much, Frank, and iBrand Television and listeners who are hearing us far and near.
Yeah, it's the first time we are talking to you, and I want to say Happy New Year to you.
Oh, yes, and Happy New Year.
Oh, yes.
Happy New Year. Many people are not having, well, happiness might be relative, but we don't know when we feel happy.
Oh, yes.
I think many people are not happy, but let's get into the nitty-gritty of having our mind, our soul, and our bodies.
Yeah, thank you. We hope for a better New Year then.
Happier.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We really hope for a better New Year. All right, so let's get straight into the conversation. You've been following that development of the excise duty on the non-carbonated drinks or non-alcoholic drinks. What does this mean for the food subsector, and what are the implications of these on the economy? Let's start from there.
Oh, yes. Thank you again, Frank. I certainly have been following, and naturally, one of the things, if you may remember, those who have had mistake on your iconic station, mention the fact that Nigerians, all of us, up, down, middle class, the poor, and even the elevated class must fasten our seatbelts. Why? Because in 2022 and going forward, government will be looking for all areas of either, tightening the loose ends, looking at our laws, and trying to see how they either bring more people into the tax net, or again, those who are already suffering the relative tax burden will have to suffer. Because when government went to the Customs, Excise Tariff, etc. Consideration Act, what in our field we call CETA, C-E-T-A, that is the Customs, Excise Tariff Consideration Act, and went to that section 21 and decided they were going to introduce 10% tax on 1 liter of non-alcoholic carbonated sweetened drinks. It came to me, as so many of my compatriots, as a bit novel. What is the reason? The reason, like you said in your intro, one is to look at the health of the average person. Just to consume too much of sugar, too much of excess sugar, and on the face value, that looks a bit possible. Oh, is it that government is now waking up to care for the health of citizens so that we can eat right, live right, especially when regulations regarding that part of the industry is not anything that we can say is sacrosanct in terms of the sugar content that you say you put on the label of your drinks. So many of them all coming here and there, including some Nigerian cigarettes as small. So on the face value, you say, oh yes, that looks good. But from that value in itself, which is easier, regulating by fire acts, what you are asking, or regulating the mindset and education of people. So if you regulate sugar, there are quite a number of other health hazards that we face one way or the other, including fuel, including so many other things that we know we ourselves, local government, state government, the federal and the National Assembly should be looking at to make sure that our environment keeps safe. That is the question that we need to look at. Then if you come to the numbers, that the numbers will be such that it will help to boost revenue into the health sector. And I ask you, let's even for 1 minute assume that's an objective you want to achieve. In an economy up to down that has not been able, measure what we want to manage, who is going to be looking at some of those numbers? And in any case, some of the numbers that have been going into that sector, has it been well accounted for in a way that we know it's going to be properly applied and used? Again, I've just gone into a bit of a nitty-gritty. Let's look at the numbers.
Okay.
You see, the way taxation as one of the veritable means of revenue for government, for public good, is envisaged is such that you must look at the whole thing holistically. If you don't, you will be paying Peter while you are wrong Paul.
Let me come in a little bit.
The federal government collected is expected to collect between 2002 to 2005 the sum of 81 billion by way of monies coming from taxes and other areas. And in that same period, it is going to be about 197 billion on other sources, such as VAT and company tax, including manufacturer soft drinks. But within that subsection, look at the beverages subsection, will most likely have to lose by this computation of 10% that we are talking about 1.9 trillion through the imposition of this tax. And so the manufacturers are right in saying, hey, wait a minute. Either way you look at it, plus or minus, the maladministration and the non-accountability.
Let me come in a bit. Sorry to cut you short there.
A situation where if not,
can you hear me?
Look at.
Can you hear me? I want us to take this conversation step by step. Talking about, yes, permit me to come in here. So, talking about regulation, because if you talked about the reason why the government is trying to, impose this tax, which of course one of them is on health grounds, one will wonder what happens to how that subsector will react. So the question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think, or how do you suppose the sector will react to this particular policy? 10 naira per liter on non-alcoholic carbonated drinks. How do you suppose the sector will react, especially when you look at how these will impact on their financials for the year?
Precisely, and that was what I was getting into. Because the beverage, when you say the subsector, you are looking at those who sell carbonated drink, the beverages subsector. Is that what I'm saying? Or
that's right.
The health sector? That's
right.
The health sector?
Yes, I'm talking about the food and beverage sector, which of course, especially, yes.
So precisely, what I was getting into, on competition between 2022 and 2025, that subsector is estimated to now, we use the word lose, or put an outlay of about 1.9 trillion. 1.9 trillion from the 81 billion that will come from that and company income tax. So naturally, the ratchet effects of that will be such that if that cash flow will now be the additional things that you are now going to impose on them, of course, naturally, prices will rise. Secondly, jobs and the curtailment for monies that would have been used to plow by for the longer term will be affected in terms of the kind of infrastructure that government already has and the infrastructure that they have to now then build in. And most importantly, apart from the jobs, is the capacity building that these guys have put across. The logistics they have put across the length and breadth of the country is naturally going to be impaired. They now have to go out there to borrow this money, and if they borrow this money, it's not going to be at free interest. So that is one. Now, natural law of demand and supply will also dictate that products may be out of reach for the poor segments of the society that we need to protect. Yes, on one hand, you are saying you don't want them to consume sugar. I also know that from the health sector, too much of sugar is bad, and too low sugar is also not too good. Sometimes it might be that you need a little bit of an additional sugar to keep you to a minimum. And if these products are out of reach of these four segments of this society, what you have done is what scientists call job done zero. Now, apart from the higher selling prices and the attendant inflation within that sector, don't forget that the basket of goods from that sector is very key and important when you are looking at, the headline food basket inflation. It's also that because those products tend to be elastic, as sellers will not want to lose the market while bearing costs leading to low margin, and then things begin to, and if you don't have proper structured management in an economy that is already fragile, what you will have is that your GDP in relative terms is going to be affected very adversely.
Okay, let me come in, Doctor. Just a moment.
Okay.
Talking about regulation, if we talk about how to regulate this sector, is it not important for us to talk about how we regulate the amount of sugar content in this product, rather than saying we're imposing tax on this product because we want to reduce the rate of consumption among Nigerians on health grounds? Which is more important?
Precisely my opener. And I said, which one is easier in an economy that regulation has not been found to be optimal? As a matter of fact, regulation has been suboptimal in all fields, including that. Should we not be educating people a little bit more into making sure that they live right, do the right exercises, and get that on? What did you do when you were going to change your driving pattern about 1973 or thereabout? So, that you are going to change from left to right. Did you have to come out there and begin to impose sanctions on people, or you went on to keep on educating people? Please, you won't skip right, on to ensure that things are done properly, and it's part of the curriculum from schools. And begin to show impact assessments in terms of, look, the more you take some of these things, the more you are going to get poor in your health. And the health sector is already doing that. Primary health care is already doing that, without you necessarily wanting to now come and say you want to import that. I also want to tell you that in times past, from my experience, we've imposed a lot of taxes. We've imposed additional tax, we've imposed tax on technology, infrastructure tax, and what have you. The question has always been, even if it is 100 naira that has been the tax that we have collected, how has it been used? How has it been accounted for? What has been the priority? What has been the leakages that we have? So the average person is now saying, you want to tax us now? You want to tax us on this carbonated rate? Okay.
Let's try to wrap. Okay.
Reasons, we are going to wait for it, but it is going to be something that's going to be okay.
Apologies to come in here. Mr. Akifatuke, apologies to come in here. I want us to wrap it up with this one. The other reason given by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, which is major to the government, is is a drive to maximize potentials for existing tax streams so as to move the country's tax to GDP ratio from the current 7% to 15%. The government is estimated to receive about 81 billion from this policy. So do you think this figure is enough to shoot up Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio by 15%? That's the government target.
Well, for me, as I rather don't want to be wrong, penny wise and pound foolish. And I can tell you, there are other things that we have always been saying, there are other things that we need to do to drive and to expand the tax rate and plug the loopholes. 81 billion. What is the VAT component of that? What is the company tax component of that? That's about 197 billion. And you are now looking at 1.9 trillion. We are looking at 1.9 trillion of things that ordinarily they have a ratchet effect, demonstration effect. Your sister, your brothers having those kiosks, selling, employing.
I want us to quickly wrap it up.
Now,
yes.
That may go out. That's number one.
Okay.
I use the word pound foolish, penny wise, and pound foolish. If you are not careful, you are saying you want to drive up revenue base because you think your tax to GDP ratio in Nigeria is low. You are looking at the wrong economic tricks.
Okay.
I think true.
Yes.
But in areas where these are higher, government takes care of its responsibility in the infrastructure. Yeah, we buy our own water hole, we look for our own security, we look for private schools to tell our children. So what essentially is the job of government? In those areas, they are tax heavy, and you see the effect. Yeah.
I think the point is made now.
But are we seeing the effect of the little tax that we have? I don't say no, just expand and make it much more technologically based. Government is doing quite a lot in that area. We need to concentrate a little bit more there.
Okay, so let me come in quickly. Yes, Mr. Akinfatuke. Mr. Akin, I think we will just have to leave it there because of our time. Points taken. Yes, we really appreciate your time on the program.
My point therefore is there are much more creative areas for us to do if we are ready to be transparent, if we are ready to lead by example. It's been demonstrated and we can demonstrate it.
Okay.
Don't just sit down somewhere and just wake up and say, well, the next thing that you're going to do is just slap this without looking at demonstration effects here and there. And with that, Frank, Nigeria shall try.
Okay.
The ideas are there. We can make Nigeria better. But we're not going to rest on our words.
It's all right. Thank you so much, Akinfatuke. He's a chartered accountant. Thank you for your time on the program this morning.
You're welcome, Frank.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
And you too. You're still watching Business Breakfast, coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Still to come, Africa's total untapped export potential of intra-African trade is around $21.9 billion with an estimated market of $3 trillion. That's our focus when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Mama, you're coming to Lagos. Banga. Baby, Mama just called me now. She's coming to see you. She asked me to tell you to make banga soup for her. And she's close to the house. Oh.
How do you expect me to prepare banga in just few minutes?
I have a solution for you.
Really?
If you no sabi cook the banga, you no go enter my family.
Pali banga is used in making other exotic dishes such as banga jollof rice, banga efo riro, banga asaro or yam porridge, banga egusi, and many more. Pali banga is easy to open, no preservatives, no cholesterol, and no coloring. Approved by NAFDAC. Manufactured by Pali Agro Products Limited. Available in all leading stores and supermarkets nationwide.
Pali banga, natural palm fruit extracts for tasty African cuisine.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
True unripe plantain flour is 100% natural flour gotten from the processing of unripe plantain. It contains no addictive and has a net content of 500 grams. True unripe plantain flour contains vitamin A, B6 and C. It is gluten-free and rich in calcium. Consuming true unripe plantain flour helps to build and strengthen stronger bones and can be a great meal for diabetic patients. It decreases your chances of constipation as it has a high fiber content and provides you with a low-fat diet. Here are some steps to prepare your true unripe plantain flour. Firstly, mix true unripe plantain flour with hot water in a pot and gradually add water till you achieve desired thickness. Place over medium heat and turn very well for 4 to 5 minutes to get the right texture. Mold into a ball and place in a bowl and allow to cool. Serve with your choice of soup. True unripe plantain flour can be eaten with any variety of soup, be it your ofe oha, ofe onugbu, begiri, ewedu, or your miyan kuka. To get your true unripe plantain flour, contact us at 12 Olowera Isheri Road by First Welder bus stop off Omole Phase 2, Olowera, Lagos, Nigeria, or call 070-6663-8213 or 081-6397-4447. Distributors are needed nationwide.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's true unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare. Fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.
You go enter market, just make you go buy fresh palm fruits. When you reach house, you go wash, you go pound, your body go dey pain you, even your fingernails go dey pain you. But make una no worry, make una relax. I get good news for una. Una don hear of Banga fresh palm fruit extract. All you need to do na make you go for the open am. Take the amount wey you want, put am for your pot. Which soup you wan make? Shey na egusi, shey na ogbono, shey na vegetable, shey na banga. My sister no waste time again, my brother no waste time again. Just go buy Banga fresh palm fruit extract. They go know say you sabi cook and you be better cook.
Banga, make your food yummy yum. Distributors needed nationwide. Phone number 081 63 974447, 080 35 64 4436, 070 66 63 8213. Banga Fresh Palm Fruit Extract.
If you're just joining us, this is Business Breakfast coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. So our attention is turned now to looking at the African trade agreement that was established 1 year ago. 1 year after the launch of the AFCFTA, there is the feeling that the initiative has been one large question mark so far, as trade restrictions between African countries still abound, while there has been much speculation about the level of the effect of the pandemic on the AFCFTA's integration goals. The lethargic reactions of African leaders towards opening up their borders and of course, talking about liberalizing trade, much more to be desired. According to the UN Conference on Trade and Development, Economic Development in Africa Report 2021, the total untapped export potential of intra-African trade is around $21.9 billion, equivalent to 43% of intra-African export, with an additional $9.2 billion projected through partial tariff liberalization under the AFCFTA over the next 5 years. All right, to make some sense of these, Mr. Garba Kofi, a CEO, APT Securities and Mutual Funds, is just been live in the studio here. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking to you on the phone, but now you are here, and I want to say Happy New Year to you.
The same thing to you. I'm happy to be with you.
It's all right. Let's look at the aim of these free trade agreement that was established last year. So this January 2022 makes it 1 year. 1 year after, what's your assessment of this?
Well, my assessment, I will say so far so good, because once we all agree to go with this African free trade agreement. Secondly, before colonialization, this is what we obtain in Africa. We cross along the border. There is nothing like border, because in the olden days, before colonialization, we don't have this boundary that we are seeing. And more or less, they are more of artificial, because you will see a family being divided by the boundary. So how do you separate the trading? The trading for the African country to come together is just going back to the basic. This is what we know, and this is what we are familiar with, and it's a welcome development. However, there is many things that hinder this to work.
Okay.
One of them is originality. If you look at it, we are so split, we are so small. A continent that is having 54 countries, some of them, they are not more than even a local government, but it's a state. And therefore, deny them the large scale economy, because large scale economy is a global thing that is known globally, that once you have the larger, the better, and the cost will be lower. Today, take it or leave it, the most prominent economics are the US, China, India. Why are they? Because they have the population, they have the market, and there is no restriction within their boundaries. And this enables this large-scale productions. If Africa agreed to this, it is a welcome development, because you are talking of a continent with at least 1.3 billion population.
That's right.
And when you look at our growth rate of growth, I think we have a higher growth rate than any other continent. And if things being equal, it's just a matter of time that give us the next 50 years, Africa will be the largest population in the world, and it will be the dominant in terms of the market. And the beauty of it, youth constitute more than 60% of our population, what it means that more demand, more market, more consumption, more productivities.
I need you to, talk to me so that we can make this interactive. Yes, of course, it will be more interactive when you look at me and talk to me. It will be more interactive that way.
Yes.
So let's look at, you talk about this market.
Yes.
Africa has one of the biggest market,
Yes.
or the largest market
Yes.
on the planet here, 1.3 billion people. And then, of course, with that population, how much of this population are we maximizing, given the background you've painted?
Well, you see, the population is one thing. The capacity, when you look at our GDP, you look at the poverty, you will see that, yes, we have the population, but the population doesn't have the capacity. So we need to improve our per income so that we reduce the level of poverty, and this will increase and promote more consumptions. And you can do this in two ways. One, by encouraging credit facilities. If you look at most of the developed country, everything is on credit. You don't need to have money to own your house, but that is not what we have in Africa. Over 75% of our houses, we own it 100%.
Right.
That, you don't need to do that. If you look at most of our car, we own it 100%, down to the GSM and what have you. In the developed market, they have developed their credit facility in such a way you don't need to own everything. There is insurance to cover you, and you can pay in a piecemeal. We need such facilities in Africa. If we improve our per capita income and we improve our credit facility across the border, our consumption will double, and most of our productivity will increase.
Well, when you talk about credit facility, of course, DFDB, African Development Bank, is there to play its role on the Africa as the big brother. Other than the AFDB, who else is supposed to be playing this role?
I think we need to start the basic. First, we need to know our numbers. The ID, identification, is what helps the developed market. Every person, wherever you go, is identified. And Africa has to do something like that. Today, when last did we counted our people in Nigeria? We don't even know our population. Talk less of our ID. We need to know our population, need to have our ID. Once you have the ID, you can give credit facility because there is nowhere to hide. Anywhere you go, we can identify you and you cannot hide. Good enough that we have started with BBN. With BBN, you cannot hide. Once you have a bank account, you have a bank account, is you and no more. And you cannot change that name, and you cannot change your face, and wherever you go, you will be identified because the full picture of you has already been captured in the BBN. We want this to be extended in the ID, and we want everybody to have his ID number. With this, facility will be easier to be facilitated by the bank. And once you get more facility to the individual and to the common man, the better consumption increase, the more productivity of the economy is seen, and the African free trade agreement will work faster and better.
Are you suggesting that these facilities should take root from each of these countries? Because you talk about population. Of course, we don't have the reliable data, but Nigeria is estimated to be about over 200 million people. So are you suggesting that if you take that number, for instance, that estimation into consideration, we should start from each of these countries and not the holistic picture of the African continent?
Actually, yes, because of our poverty, you say each state start. But in reality, we're supposed to have all regional identity. Like if you're from West Africa, you should have a singular identity center. Irrespective of your state, from Senegal to Nigeria, you don't need any visa to move either way. And therefore, all we need to do is to have a center that your identity is your identity and only you. You can be in Nigeria tomorrow, you can be in Ghana, next you can be in Senegal, it's the same you. If the North Africa can do the same, North Central can do the same, South Africa can do the same, and Southeastern Africa can do the same. We now harmonize this it will facilitate a common identity and will have a common national passport so that we don't need a visa. But just an African country, you need 54 visas to cross along the border? No. If we want free trade, we also need pre-movement. And pre-movement facilitate pre-trade. And that's what our people know before colonialization. You don't need any visa to go to Sudan.
So you've raised
Today,
two issues now.
yes.
Just a moment. The issue of credit facility and the issue of free movement across these borders as well.
Yes.
How do we get this conversation going? Because I know it's also part of this agreement and conversations are ongoing, but how do we bring it to a logical conclusion?
I think they are taking it step by step. Okay. By 13th of January, in Ghana, they are going to facilitate what we call this payment system settlement. And if we can facilitate payment system settlement across Africa, that will save Africa a minimum of $5 billion per annum on the bank charges, which is done abroad. I don't need today, as close as you are to Benin, if you buy any stock, it has to go to France before it come back to Nigeria. We don't need that. So the payment system settlement, once it's facilitated and agreed upon the entire Africa, it will save us not less than 5 billion. So if you start there, now you move to the identity. We all agree across West Africa no visa. That should not be restricted to Africa, across West Africa. It should be across Africa. As long as you are moving within Africa, you don't need any visa. All you need to do, present your passport, let them stamp it to know that you are in the country. Simple. This is what we need to do, and this is what European is there. It's what is obtained in the Asian, it's what obtained in the Latins. So those areas that move faster and better than us, today they have pre-movement along the border. But what they did, they all have their ID, and you cannot hide. So you cannot commit crime in Nigeria and go to Ghana and hide. No way. Your identity is as good as in Ghana. So the same thing, if you decided to do it in Nigeria and run to South Africa, your identity is there. And once we have this kind of central identification with this pre-movement and no visa across Africa, I can tell you Africa will be better than any other continent.
But I'm not sure if you're aware, maybe you can tell me, help us better understand, has the African countries and within the member state that are also integrated or onboarded on this agreement, have they considered this issue of security as well? When you talk about no visa, there won't be any need for visa when you move within the African continent.
Already African Development, African Union have started it. They have established an African passport. I remember that the African Union launched it, but it's yet not reached across the nation, and we need to do that. And if we do that, it will be better for us. Today, in Africans, 54 countries have to have 54 ambassadors in UK. What for? We need just a single office that can take care for the whole 54 country. Look at the saving that we'll do. Go to US. If today African have an office just like European that give you a European visa, so if African give you a visa across the whole African country, it is better for us, it's better for all. And the beauty of it, it makes life much better. Today, go to Europe. If you go to France, you can go to Belgium, you can move to Germany. You don't need any visa. With the Euro visa, it's enough to cross border. And that facilitates their business. And today, the intra-trading among the European is more than 67% compared to Africa where we have less than 15%. So we need more of this, and it's better for the economy and it's better for all.
I know that the economic, talking about the United Nations Conference on Trade Development and all that has also put a projection, like an estimate of how the African market can generate with its population of 1.3 billion people, which is about, they put it at 3 trillion naira. Give us an outlook. I mean, this is a figure,
No, it's not 3 trillion naira. It's $3 trillion.
I beg your pardon.
And when you look at dollars, this is still a small chicken.
So the
when
question
you compare California alone has a 3 trillion GDP.
So the question now is, give us your outlook of the African market. We have a lot of potentials. Of course, this figure is coming from somewhere, but if you look at it holistically, it seems to have potentials much more than that.
You see, Africans have tremendous potential. Our major problem, we lack records. Today, if we can have the record of statistics, what is going on, I can tell you the $3 trillion estimated can be double. You can see it in Nigeria. By the time during the Minister of Finance, Ekwenje Iweala, she did the rebanding of this GDP, we jumped to $400 billion. Believe me sincerely, today a lot of business that is going on is not recorded. If this can be brought into the book, you will see our GDP is far ahead of this. Because one, we have the capacity, two, we have the population, and we look at our consumption pattern. The number of SUV you see in Lagos, you hardly see it even in Europe. That to tell you we have high consumptions. But do we have the record? Of course we don't have. And we need to improve our statistics. So it's a big challenge. If we can have a proper recording, our potential will outweigh any estimate that you can put to the ground. Let me give you an example of the GSM. When GSM come to life, the estimate that we are likely going to have 60 million lines. Today, we have 160 million lines, 3 times of what was estimated.
Exactly.
And today, all the telecoms that are in Nigeria, they are proud of Nigeria because of our consumption. Take, for instance, MTN. By the year ended 2021, MTN have 2 trillion naira turnover. Which any other company has that? Just one company on telecom control 2 trillion naira turnover per annum.
And that's as a result of the market potential.
Yes, the market potential and the keeping the record. Assuming that you will add the rest of the other 3 GSM line, turnover plus this, that will tell you what telecom can generate in Nigeria. So on the average, the telecom can generate between 5 to 6 trillion naira turnover in Nigeria. That is telecom. And what is the telecom to the GDP of Nigeria? You are talking of 18%. So take it across Africa. On telecom alone, you can see what we can generate. Extend this to power. Extend this to transportation. Extend this to energy. By the time you move around, don't talk of food, which is the basic for a living. By the time you multiply it, you will see that our potential is very, very high. And whatever we are stating as our potential is just a mere estimate and it's really understated.
Okay, let's try to wrap it up now. I mean, if you put that figure of $3 trillion in perspective, I mean, you have about $21.9 billion of opportunities within the intra-African, when you talk about their export potential. Now, how do you think Nigeria can position to take a chunk of this market or take advantage of this figure?
You see, Nigeria, we have to harness our potential. Let me take, for instance, cement industry. Years back, we were importing cement into this country. Today, no more. Our one single man have go across 14 to 15 countries establishing the same industry. And we cannot even meet up the Nigerian demands because the price of cement moved from 2,800 to 5,000 in just a year. That to tell you how the demand is. And when you look at the lack of infrastructures across the country, that to tell you one potential. And the same across the other one, that if we can harness our potential, we can do more of it. And don't forget, in Africa, 80% of the diamond globally in the world is in Africa. 75% of the global magnesium is in Africa. So why can't we Nigerians establish an industry that we use the African free trade to harness this potential, take them, process them, add value and sell to the world?
Let's wrap up now. Which of these products, of these resources, of mineral resources, of natural resources, would you want the country, in your own view, to explore, really? Because other countries have theirs, from South Africa to Zimbabwe and all of that. All of them, they've got what they are leveraging on.
Let's start with Nigeria. Our potential in gas is not yet exploited. I assure you, if we harness our potential in gas, the issue of shortage in energy does not arise. Many industries will have easy access to this gas and run their power and run their industry, and productivity will be much cheaper and better. And this alone is enough to double our economy. And if Nigeria can harness this one, it's enough for us. Don't talk of agriculture. We can cultivate anything. Is it wheat? Is it rice? Anything. If Nigerians decided to use their population, to use our land, agricultural land, harness this potential, is enough to double our economy and to take us out of poverty.
I think we should leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Garba Krofi, CEO, APT
Welcome.
Securities and Mutual Funds Limited. Thank you for coming on Business Breakfast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's take a moment now. When we come back, we'll look at the commodities market. We'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Glad to have you join us now. This is Business Breakfast coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. It's time to look at the commodities market now. Gold prices were trading higher on Tuesday, supported by weaker US dollar and treasury yields as traders awaited December inflation data and weighed bets for a quicker interest rate hikes. Markets anticipate quicker rate hikes based on key December US inflation data due later this week, and Jerome Powell's testimony in the evening, while stronger bond yields continue to cap gains. Gold futures and multi-commodities exchange gain about 0.17% or 81 rupees at 47,536 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures were up by 0.20% or about 123 rupees at 60,790 rupees per kilogram. Gold is considered a hedge against high inflation, but the metal is highly sensitive to rising U.S. interest rate, which increase the opportunity cost of holding non-yielding bullion. But a lot of money to be made in gold market there. Well, and that's much we can take on today's program. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. We'll be back again tomorrow. See you then.